There you go.
Hey, this is Wayne Buckingham here at Bostonville Golf Course here in Pendleton, South Carolina. We want to welcome y'all out to our third annual Clemson Alumni Weekend Reunion benefit. This benefit is to help former Clemson players, former Clemson people that's in need, and local charities here in the area. What's coming together? My goal when we started this, it started 3 years ago. One of our teammates, Mr. Sharon Wright, has got sick with pancreatic cancer and got caught mercy, got his leg cut off. And we tried to figure out what we could do to help him in some of his financial needs. So the idea came up, we dedicate my celebrity golf tournament to him here at Clemson to help him. And we made a bunch of phone calls, and a bunch of football guys came out, basketball guys came out, and it went over real well, raised a lot of money for him. Everybody's like, well, Buck, you need to keep doing this and make it an annual event and to give back for the people here in the community. So that's pretty much how I got started, and we are here today on the third one.
Hey, everybody. Oh, my goodness, we're so excited to have you here. This has just been the most special thing that Wayne Buckingham decided to choose my sister and my hero, Annie Tribble, former coach Annie Tribble, and Barbara Kennedy Dixon to be recipients of the proceeds from today, along with some other really good folks. And I'm just so thrilled to be here. We had a whole full weekend of activities. It's really special to Annie's family. She lived right here in Pendleton, and we are so excited to be here and just very grateful for the opportunity to give Annie an honor like this. She really was my hero, and I watched her my entire life impact other people.
I'm Grayson Marshall Jr., 1984, 1988. All-time ACC career since later when I graduated. Still hold every record here. ACC Legend 2016, Hall of Fame 2009, and I would never miss this. And here's why. This is an opportunity for us to come together as athletes, as a Clemson family, and do something good. We've acknowledged people for what they're going through, and today we're acknowledging people for what they've done and what they've left behind. The first year was Sharon Wright. The second year was Brian Mance. And then this year, it's 4 significant people in the history of Clemson. Barbara Kennedy, maybe the greatest girls basketball player to ever play here. Annie Tribble, who was a legendary women's coach. You got Ian Abraham, who literally put this soccer team and soccer program on the map nationally. And obviously, we don't have a rock without Frank Howard. So literally, we get a chance to kind of reminisce. We get a chance to acknowledge and actually thank everybody for what we've been able to be a part of.
Robert Halfacre, the mayor of the city of Clemson. What this tournament means to me is just great to see so many athletes and their families come back to our community, and we appreciate them patronizing our businesses, but we also appreciate just the camaraderie of everybody coming together. This tournament brings everybody in a collaborative effort.
I'm James Trapp, former two-sport athlete here at Clemson. Came in with Big Wayne Buckingham. Today is a big special day. It's always a special day every year when Buck calls and reaches out. He calls my wife Angel. Get me over here to kind of give support, to not only Wayne Buckingham, but to Clemson. So I really appreciate him inviting me. A good time to catch up with some of our friends, former teammates. Just an exciting time, an exciting weekend. Thank you.
My name is John Gunther. I'm the owner of Bostonville Golf Club. Just want to say it's been a pleasure to have Buck and all the former players and his staff here at Bostonville. We love having all the coaches and players throughout the year, and very fortunate to be this close to university, and glad to be a small part of such a special day.
All right, that was a lot better than the intro music I normally play. Hello again, and welcome to another episode of the Fun Fans Podcast. I'm your host, James Diller. We've got a great guest with us today. He's kind of already introduced himself, but we are the official podcast for Clemson fans, brought to you by Rubens and the Fanboys, Fangirls Podcast Network. So Grayson Marshall is with us today. Later on, we're going to talk a little construction, highlight this week's results in Clemson athletics, and talk a little bit of NCAA basketball, hopefully. And we're going to get straight into the interview with former Clemson and ACC basketball legend, a Tiger point guard from 1984 to 1988, Clemson's all-time assist leader. And like he said in the video, there may be some other records he still holds at Clemson. He can fill us in on that. And is a member of Clemson's Athletic Hall of Fame in 2016, was named an ACC Legend. So we want to welcome to the show Mr. Grayson Marshall. Grayson, how are you doing today?
James, I appreciate it. Thank you so much, my friend.
Well, listen, I'm already going off script already, and I apologize, but I'm typing this up, and I just have to ask, what is an ACC Legend?
So about 10 years ago, James, what they decided to do was acknowledge one person from every team and create a Legends class. So in my class, 2016, the Legends were James Worthy, Spud Webb, Jay Williams from Duke, Derek Coleman from Syracuse, Charles Smith from Pitt, Adrian Dantley from Notre Dame, Darrell Griffith from Louisville, Norman Nolan from Virginia. Devin Gray from Georgia Tech, John Salmons from Miami. So they took one from each school. It was either coach or player. Coach Dave Odom was in that class, but we probably had the most decorated class that the ACC Legends have ever put together. So it was an honor. They stopped doing it. I want to say right before the year that this crazy world we're in moved. But it's an honor. I wear my ring, and it's awesome. My ACC Legends plaque, my ACC Legends picture, all that stuff was just kind of a reminder and a walk down memory lane that you were one of the most successful people at that time, and maybe still is, the greatest basketball conference that college basketball has ever seen. Yeah,
well, that is an impressive list of names, and that's really awesome. So congratulations.
Thank you.
About 6 or 7 years later. So, but just real quick to kind of get started off with the script. So tell the listeners, tell the fun fans what Grayson Marshall's up to these days.
2023, I'm living in Jacksonville, Florida. I'm a father of 4 kids. I have 4 grandkids. Yesterday actually was my youngest daughter's 21st birthday. Nice. I love my grandkids. I've been a serial entrepreneur my entire life. Right now, I currently have a company called Cell Power Sport, which really works on legacy and longevity for athletes. I focus on the 5 areas of wellness: physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, and financial. I really talk to them about things that they can do, different vehicles they can get into. But the one thing, James, that I really focus on is their health and transitioning out of sports. What I really find is that athletes spend a lot of time getting themselves prepared to play. And when they're done with that regiment, that consistency, it all seems to change. And there's so many athletes that we see that look a shell of their former selves when they're done playing.
Right.
And the question is why? It's because we really were never told and taught what to really do for ourselves. One of the analogies that I share with people is that all of us who have a driver's license went through a driver's ed course, and they taught you how to operate a vehicle.
Right.
They never told me how to take care of the vehicle. They told me how to operate it.
Yeah, that's a different class.
As an athlete, they tell me how to operate. They tell me how to move. They never tell me how to fix the engine, right?
Right.
The only thing they're concerned about is staying injury-free. So for me, the path that I'm challenging them with is, why don't you know how to take care of yourself better? And so we really want to talk about legacy and longevity here. It's an amazing product. The tagline is called Ignite the Might. What I have is the only technology that puts together FAAs, functional amino acids, with 1,4-D glucose. And it puts it together in what's called an alpha glycopeptide. It's pre-digested and it's pre-hydrolyzed, so the body doesn't have to break it down. And it really goes in and deals with the mitochondria. If I asked 100 people right now, 99 of them will not know what the mitochondria is or what it even does.
Right.
Yet it is the most important part of the cell. And mitochondrial decline and cellular energy deficiency are the reasons that we have just about every debilitating issue we have in our bodies today. So what I share with them is how to do this all naturally. We're right now in the middle of our NSF certification so that I can take it to the college level, the high school level, and the professional level, so the athletes can take it with no problem. They can take it with no problem, but the guidelines that they have and the fears and apprehensions that they have, I want to mitigate them by going through the proper channels. So that's what we're working on now. I also deal with their finances, showing them where to put money for retirement in a different way. So for me, it's really another assist. It's a way for me to set them up for success.
Right.
And it's kind of that's the kind of the backdrop of how I've been my entire life.
Right.
I do it in my books. I do it in my speaking. Everything is about edifying, uplifting, and empowering.
Very fitting. And I was about to ask for what levels or age groups, but you pretty much, it's across the board. And even the financial part now would not necessarily be just for professional athletes anymore, but a lot of the college kids as well. So that's really cool. And mine and Bailey's biology teachers at our schools they'll think it's really awesome that we were talking about the mitochondria on our podcast. So speaking of stuff that we've talked about on the podcast, so we had Wayne Buckingham on here last week, and he's not on here now, but hopefully he's watching. And he said, now you played back in the 84 to 88, got those years right again, but I mean, in 1990 is when they won that ACC championship, and he's all about that being the best Clemson basketball team ever. So the very next week I got you on here. I just have to ask, I mean, do you agree with Buck on that or what?
You know, I think that if it was really to come down to play, it'd be one hell of a game. Now, obviously, I'm gonna say our team is better. There's no two ways about it. But here's what I will say: regardless of which team is better, James, we were the standard, and they will tell you that when they went to practice every day, they were measured against us. You know, going on to Sharon Wright in the 1990s. All those guys heard about us before we heard about them, right? So I think setting the standard. I think what I'm most excited about is changing the dynamic that was at Clemson, readjusting it to where basketball was viable, real, and it was exciting. For those years, Clemson's always been a football school, but for those years, I would contend that basketball was as equal, if not more, of an exciting sport on that campus during those 15 years. And that's not to put down anything with football, but we were the draw, and it was awesome with Horace and Eldon Dale and Buck and Sharon and I mean, there was a whole list of folks that filled gyms: Terrell McIntyre, Greg Buckner. I mean, there was just a lot of people that we filled up those gyms, and we were an exciting time. And I think that's what's fun about going back is really seeing the impact that we had all those years ago, that we still resonate with the audiences and with the fans. And we left indelible impressions on them and on Little John Coliseum that will never go out of way. So I'll let them have that, because we did not win the ACC, but I don't think they could have stopped Horace. And if you asked Tim Beret, Tim would probably tell you, if it came down to it, we'd probably have the edge when it came down to everything else. But the fact that they won, I was just as excited as we would have won. And I don't debate those things, because now I tell you this, though, if we played today, we win.
Yes.
If we played today, we win.
Hey, if I stir the pot enough, maybe you guys can play in August when we all get together.
If we play today, we win. I guarantee you we're in better shape than they are. That's for darn sure.
I'll probably still have a key to Fike.
Yeah, I know I do.
Key. We can get in there.
There we go.
Get a run going.
Let's go do it. I want to play outside. Let's go back to old school. Go to the blacktop. Let's play outside.
No, I'm already sweating just thinking about that. So yeah, I just stirring the pot a little bit, but without a doubt, it's similar to what people say about the Taj Boyd crew as far as football leading into the national championship. So somebody's got to lay that foundation,
no question.
And you guys definitely did a great job of that. So Bailey, I did not take your interview question. So if you want to take number 2 there, sir.
All right. First of all, I'm going to apologize for messing up the time. I was out in the yard doing some stuff, so I had to run in here real quick. Grayson, it's great to have you on here. Great to meet you. As a kid growing up, watching Clemson basketball, knowing more about Clemson basketball than most people I grew up with, you're one of the ACC legends for sure. So this is an honor.
Thank you, sir.
But I did read an article about your recruitment. And Bill Foster was the coach, I think, when they initially started recruiting you. So just tell us how that all went down, I think, in Washington, D.C.
Born and raised in D.C. And they were actually there recruiting the point guard I was playing against. I went to St. John's High School. We just actually won the WCAC this year, but DeMatha was our arch rival. And that year, DeMatha had 5 guys that all went Division I. That was their legacy. They put Division I players every year. But they had a point guard named Quentin Jackson, who ended up going to NC State. And they came to watch Quentin that night. And before he got in there, Clint Bryan had called Tom Konchowski and said, hey, who's the best point guard in D.C.? He said, there's a left-hand kid over at St. John's that nobody really knows about, but you need to go see him. So he found out we were playing them that night. I had a hell of a game against Quentin that night. So when the game was over, Clint met me in the middle of the court, and he says, hey, we were here looking at Quentin, but I seen you. Would you like to come to Clemson for a visit? And I said, it's the ACC. Of course I'm coming for a visit. Now, was I going there? No way. There was no way I was going. But I said, I'll go for a visit. I'm going to the ACC for a visit. Flew out the next day, came to Clemson. I was there probably 3 hours and called my dad on the phone. I said, I'm coming to Clemson. He goes, he said, are you sure? I go, yeah, I'm serious. I'm going. So come back home. I verbally commit to Clemson. Well, a couple weeks later, they decided to go in a different direction. Coach Foster and his staff decided to take over the new job at Miami, and Miami was going to be sitting. Miami wasn't going to have basketball for another season. So it was going to be 85, 86 before they had a basketball team, and I wasn't sitting out. So all of the other players that had been recruited by Coach Foster, Dennis Burns and some more guys, they went down to Miami. I was the only one left. So there was no way I was coming. The new coach comes. I says, no, I'm not. It's not happening. So Dwight Rainey hires Cliff Ellis the next day, and then I get a phone call about Coach Ellis wanting to see me. Well, it was a weird phone call because it came from my uncle. My uncle was the first black referee to referee in the Final Four, and that year he was refereeing in the Sun Belt, and Cliff was coach at South Alabama. So he found out that Jim Howell was my mother's brother and called him and said, hey, your nephew is the only one I got left on his roster right now. Can you get me in front of him to see him? So with my uncle having his experience in basketball as a referee and as an All-American basketball player himself, he said, you need to talk to him. I said, I'll talk to him because you said so, but I'm not going to Clemson. I said, I'm going to tell you that right now. So Ellis comes the next day. He comes into my house. I went to military school. I had my military uniform on. I was sitting at the dining room table. He comes in and talks to me. Next thing I know, I'm back at Clemson. It was the greatest and best thing that I ever did. I flew blind, and actually it was the best decision I've ever made. And I've learned to just trust my gut and my heart in life, and it's where it's gotten me so far.
Yeah, well, I had read that, and I thought that was interesting because I don't know if James told you I coached forever, 20 plus years, and I used to tell our guys, you don't know who's in the gym. They may be watching somebody and see you. So you need to put it out there every time you step on the court.
Yeah.
But I thought that was a neat story.
What's even more ironic is that I came as a freshman. I graduated. I was the only senior. So throughout the entire time I was there, we had some guys come in and leave. But I came in as a freshman. I was his only recruit initially, and then he grabbed 3 more guys late in the period. And then myself, and then the next year, Jerry Pryor. We were both in 88 and 89, the only seniors on the basketball team.
Wow.
It was interesting. Interesting.
It's always a cool story. We ask guys that question really every time because our podcast network does a lot with recruiting, trying to help high school kids now. So the recruiting story is always an interesting one, especially when you talk about Clemson. There's just something about when people show up at Clemson. Like you say, that first time you went there, I mean, I don't know what it was. You didn't say what it was, but
it's something in them hills. It's all it says it. I mean that. I tell this to people, and I'm literally adamant about it. Anybody I've ever brought to Clemson, I don't care what school they've gone to.
Right.
If I brought them to Clemson, they leave with an unbelievable impression of our university. And it's something about it. And again, you're talking about a kid who came from Washington, D.C., to Clemson. It was a completely different world. Now, fortunate enough for me, I had relatives in Anderson. My cousin Denise played 4 years for the girls team. So she graduated May of 84 when I came in August of 84, and she was the starting point guard there. Denise Marshall. So she was there. We missed each other. She graduated and I came in, but I have family right down in Anderson, right off of 28. So I did have family there, and both my grandparents are from South Carolina. My grandmother's from Bishopville, and my granddad's from Wagner. So my roots were ultimately here. Now, it wasn't something that I grew up knowing and wanting to be there. I think I came to South Carolina one time as a youth, but there were roots here. So it wasn't like I wasn't part of there was some of my blood in South Carolina to begin with. And luckily for me, it was right around Clemson.
Right. There's something about being close to family. My daughter's at grad school in DC, and it's not close, and sometimes it's tough. So, all right, Bailey, we're going to get back on track with number 4 there, if you don't mind.
So what's the best memory or the most fond memory you have as a player at Clemson, basketball player?
Bailey, I think it was a couple one. I think the first one that really stands out was my freshman year. Passing and winning past Chris Michael, beating North Carolina in our gym 52-50. They hadn't beat Carolina in a while, and we beat them my freshman year at home. That was a big one. I think that my last game in Little John Coliseum against Georgia Tech, when I was one rebound away from the first triple-double by a point guard. I had 19 points, 11 rebounds, and I had 11 assists, 9 rebounds. And when I went back and looked at the video, there was a couple rebounds I just didn't go after and could have had them. So that's it there. But I think the biggest one for me at Clemson, when I look at it, was I think the biggest one was being inducted in the Hall of Fame. I think that was the biggest thing. I think because there was never anything on my radar. There was never anything that I thought that would happen in my life. I think every kid aspires to be great or have themselves acknowledged, but I think that was the ultimate coup de grace in what was there. My dad couldn't be there because he had already passed away, but I think it was something for me. It was a kind of you make a decision. There were a bunch of circumstances that could have hindered you from doing it. And I think it was one of the things that really just started my faith walk in an elevated way. I just walked this thing out by faith with God for so long. And that was just a reminder of me of what happens when you just put all your trust in God and do your work yourself. So I think
that's a pretty good memory, being inducted into the
it's better than most, I can tell you that.
Yeah, that's for sure. Okay, well, Grayson, so our podcast is about being a fan, is in mainly the fan experience. Mm-hmm. And as you're playing basketball as a student, so to go and be a fan of a different sport, did you ever go to the football games?
Oh my God, look, I'm telling you what, I'm probably more remembered from my antics at the baseball game than I was on the basketball court. Literally. We started, so South Carolina had the world famous third base hecklers, right? That was back in the day. That was their claim to fame. Now, baseball is my first love, so I love baseball. So we started something called a third base danger zone. Again, this is school, but literally when I go back to school, Bob Mahoney and all those guys, Grayson, man, this is what they remember. We literally would, and this is bad, but this is what we did. We literally would play the theme song from Top Gun, Highway to the Danger Zone, right? We would stay out in the parking lot tailgating until the game would start. And we'd run into this song, and we were master hecklers. I have to give us credit. We were really good. Well, what we do is every inning, you run out to the parking lot and slam a beer and come back. So you see this whole mass of people leave in the first inning. By the fourth inning, there's a few less people. And by the seventh inning, there's like 3 or 4 people. And it was just, again, it was college is what we did. It was fun, but I enjoyed it. I think I was probably, James, I went to more soccer games than anybody because my friends were soccer players. Eric Eichmann, Paul Retenis, Bernard Gray. When they won the national championship, I was at just about every game. I went to just about every tennis match. My friends played tennis, so I went to the tennis match. I was at the girls' games, at the volleyball game. I mean, it was, to me, it was about being a student and enjoying the fans. Yeah, I never missed a football game. I mean, that was the fun stuff about me. I think that being a fan, I don't think you can play this sport and not be a fan. I think people try to do that, miss out, especially at the college experience. Why not go to everything? I mean, it was just amazing. Right. The prima donna world is no fun. And for me, I fit in. So when I go, I was telling my girlfriend, she says, honey, you're tall. I go, nah, I'm short. And she would look at me and say, no, you're not. Well, when I finally took her to an alumni reunion and she saw Dale at 6'11" and Buck at 6'10", and Eldon says, "Oh, I see why you say you're short now." Well, as a student, I would blend in. Like if those guys went to a soccer game, they're gonna stand out, right? Because they're 6'10", 6'11". I can go to a soccer game and just blend in and be a regular fan. So I enjoyed that more. I enjoyed the college experience, which probably, fellas, was to a detriment to my career. And I mean it this way. I grew up, and I know, James, you're an educator. My mother's a principal. My dad was a teacher. My sister's the current head of online education for DOD in Washington, D.C. So I grew up with education being non-negotiable, right? Well, I also grew up with Plan B and somewhat of a fear-based mentality. I didn't grow up with a mantra of go after it. I grew up with a mantra of play it safe, right? So my whole reason for getting a college scholarship was so my parents wouldn't have to pay for college. Once I got that, I didn't care. I was going to graduate in 4 years and I was going to go out and work.
Right.
Well, I think me embracing college the way that I did, I was never a gym rat. I wasn't that guy. I wasn't the guy shooting 500 shots before breakfast and shooting 500. That was just not me. I was the guy who was water skiing on the weekends. I was the guy with me. I was shooting 9-ball down at TDs. I mean, that was me, right? But I knew that there's a built-in drive inside of me that I'm just not going to let you beat me. So when it comes down to it, I'm out working. And that's the way I was been. My life has changed now because I am more proactive in those things and being a little bit more diligent. But for me, I wrote in my book, I was competitive. I wasn't motivated.
And
you weren't going to beat me. I don't care what it took. You weren't going to beat me. And coming from DC and having being mentally tough, trash talking was nothing but what we did. So I was going to get in your ear. You were going to hate me before the game was over. This is before Gary Payton and those guys. Well, we about the same age, but it was more. That was me. I would talk to you. Now I wouldn't go deep like they would, but I get in your head, and that was where I was, and that was my competitive edge. I've always been mentally tough. So enjoying volleyball with Linda Steffes and Judy Steffes and all. I mean, literally, these were my friends, and it was what I did, and I supported them, and like in retrospect, they supported me too. So I just love, and that's why I love going back now. When I go back, I want to go back and see as much as I can when I'm back.
Yeah,
that's
so
right.
How often do you get back?
I probably come back 4 or 5 times a year, if not more. I usually catch 1 or 2 football games. And then like this year we went down to the bowl game in Miami. So I usually go to that. I'll get back to obviously alumni weekend at Clemson, and I'll pick up 2 or 3 more along the way. But if I come for a weekend, I'm trying to see if they got a baseball game and a softball game. So I kind of just do a little bit of everything while I'm there. But I get back as much as I can. I love it there. I really do. I've got friends with houses on Hartwell, and my buddy used to own Sardi's, and they closed, but he used to own Sardi's, so I would go there. And obviously, I can't come to town without going to Max. So I mean, there's just some things that are worth a 6-hour drive.
Yeah,
I'll get a burger at Max.
That's right. Hey, a lot of that sounds familiar. I think we just missed each other by about 3 years or so. That place behind the dugout in the baseball games, that's where me and my friends sat at the baseball games, and it was general admission back then. You know, we rolled in 90. This would have been in 91, 92, my freshman year.
Yep.
And we go up there, and that area is just empty. So you guys may have cleaned it out for us, and y'all may have graduated and gone, but y'all did us a favor and had us a nice.
We did that. We loved it. We loved it.
Now we were studying during the games. We weren't doing that other stuff. We were down.
We weren't. I'm gonna tell you, we weren't.
We were heckling and studying. But all right. So speaking of getting back, let's talk about Buck's fundraiser.
Yep.
And so tell us what you know about that. I played a little video at the beginning. I'm gonna try to show this website again, but give us the background, and tell us why everybody needs to be at that deal.
From the minute he called me, obviously I'm all about helping people, but from the minute he called me, I had to do it. First of all, I love golf. So if there's anything golf involved, I'm in. I don't care what it is, I'm coming. But to have the first year's at the Walker course, the second year's at Boscobel, and it was great courses. I won it last year, but it was just fun. Reaching out to be able to bring former players back for rallying in a good way. I think Buck did something that hadn't been done. I think he did something that IPTAY hadn't done, and that was really galvanize some former athletes cross sport to come in and do some things together. So this year it'll be another great event. It'll be a nice orange and white gala this year. So that's going to be fun. It's going to be over at the hotel, and it's going to be nice. It's going to have a Kentucky Derby feel to it. I know Horace is coming in. I'll be in. Dale will be in. Eldon will be in. There'll be a bunch of players in. I know Levon Kirkland is going to be there speaking. There's going to be a bunch of people that are going to be there. It's a great time to obviously connect and network, but it's also just a great time to serve other people. And he does everything with a spirit of excellence, Buck does. And I'm just there to support him. And again, like I said, when Clemson people are wanting to do something, if I can get there, I'll do it. But you tag golf on it, and you can get me there anyway. I'm good. You get me
That's
there
right.
anyway.
That's right. So Bailey and I will be there now, and we're
Awesome.
super excited about that. And I know people are, Dale Davis, Bailey Jackson, Eldon Campbell, James Dillard. So it's just kind of all on the same list now. We're super excited about that. But definitely people out there listening, guys, you can get involved in this. There's a $10,000 donation and a long list of things you can get for that. And you can go to this website and find out, and we'll be promoting it even more. But you can also pay $50 to show up to the gala, get a ticket, hang out and rub elbows with these guys, free heavy hors d'oeuvres. I mean, and so anybody, for $50, you can't go out to dinner anymore with two people for $50.
Not at
So
all.
this is a donation that's going to go to a good cause, and then all kind of other donation levels in between. So
we're doing. I know we're doing a table. He asked us to do tables, so there's $1,000 tables that we're doing. But he wants to raise money. He's got a nice little scholarship fund that he's put together, and it all goes to that. But like you said, James, it really is something to look at for $50 to hang out and be in. And I know, and there'll be football players there. I wouldn't be surprised if Dabo sticks his head in, or his wife. I wouldn't be surprised at that if Coach Brownell. I wouldn't be surprised if they show up, and some more folks. Billy DeAndre. I mean, there will be some peripheral guys there because it's a gala, and it'll be a little bit different. So we'll be out of recruiting season. It'll be a different time. Usually when we're there, coaches are on the road because we've done it at a different time. But I think this time and this date, this will be a little bit different in August. They'll be off the road. School will be getting back in. Everybody will be in town. I think it'll just be that much more well attended because we'll be in here and everybody will be ready to go.
Right. Well, we are definitely looking forward to it. And like I said, all the information is on the website. Link to the website will be on our social media. You can Google WAB Sports or WAB Alumni Fundraising Weekend or anything along those lines, and it'll surely pop up.
Yep.
And Grayson, we just appreciate you being on here. We look forward to maybe we can chat some more about anything between now and then. For listeners, I will share Grayson's information about the product that he mentioned at the beginning. Bailey, we talked about the mitochondria. You missed that part, so we'll have to make sure the biology teachers go back and listen to that part over and over again.
Tell them I'm keeping you up to date.
Yeah.
I thought that was biology.
Yeah.
I thought I remembered that.
Yeah. Hey, the kids are like, when are we ever going to use this? Well, you never know, right?
Exactly.
You never know. So, but yeah, shoot me whatever information you want me to share, and we'll put it out there. And like we talked about before, we'll share each other's, network and information, and we're going to help Buck make this thing happen and do good things for scholarships and raising this money. And we're going to have a really, really good time that first weekend in August.
Totally agree. I'm ready for it, guys. Thank you. Anytime
Looking
y'all run short on content, call me. I'm in. I'm in. Just give me enough time to get to the computer. I'm good to go.
All right. Sounds good.
Right.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
you have a great day.
Appreciate you being on.
Thank you for having me, guys.
And go Tigers.
Good night. Go Tigers.
Well, I don't know what we're going to do, Bailey.
Well, I'm going to
second
apologize again for being late.
Second week. Well, it's all right. It happens.
My bad.
But second week in a row having a legendary Clemson athlete on the show. The show, by the way, which is a proud part of the Fanboys Fangirls Sports Podcasting Network. If you're a true sports fan, the Fanboys Fangirls is perfect for you. Find various nationwide podcasts and other sports media at thefanboys.com. All over Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. The Fun Fans Podcast, the official podcast for Clemson fans. If you scroll to the bottom of the Fanboys website, you will see how you can support Homes for Troops And we really love that. We love supporting the troops. So go to the bottom of thefanboys.com and see how you can help us help build homes for troops. And what else do we love, Bailey?
Well, first of all, we love Clemson, but we also love Reuben's. Food, spirits, sports, and catering, the best wings around, with 2 locations in the upstate, 1083 Batesville Road in Greer and 11028 Anderson Road in Piedmont. Find them at ReubenC.com. Reuben's is a great place to eat for every sports fan.
Okay, so just go back. I'm going to go back 1 second and get real specific, because I've talked with Wayne about this particular part of the fundraiser. So Grayson mentioned that Horace Grant's going to be there. Now, Horace Grant, anybody that's a Clemson fan knows who Horace Grant is. But if you think you just got to be a Clemson fan to think that being around Horace Grant is a big deal, that is not the case. Horace Grant is a 3-time NBA champion with Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls. Okay. Obviously, a big-time legend at Clemson, basketball player. And we talked about how you can get into this situation, a $50 or $100 VIP ticket to the gala, a $50 regular ticket to the gala, $200 to play around the golf and support the fundraiser. But now, if you or your company or your group of folks want to go in for a $10,000 donation, you can basically spend the weekend with Horace Grant. There's a long list of stuff that you'll get. You'll get a full table at the gala. You get into the tailgate. You'll get 2 groups to play golf. But Horace Grant will be at your table. He will be in your group when you play golf. So essentially, for that donation to this cause that Buckingham's doing, you can do that. And when I say you know, some company, some business, some group partnership out there, $10,000 is a nice tax write-off to be able to spend your weekend with the NBA 3-time NBA champion. And we're gonna talk about more specifics along those lines as well.
I bet you he has Jordan's cell number too.
Hey, without a doubt. So, all right, on to some more specific Clemson things. So, Bailey.
Well, it's actually kind of funny because I have the blueprints of what you're getting ready to pop up there.
Well, yeah. So here we go. There's been a lot of talk about the construction on the hill. So you got this?
Yeah. So I was in Clemson this weekend and stayed with a former assistant athletic director at Clemson, and he shared this we talked about this last night, but it's the same thing that I have. I may have a few more pages, but
oh yeah, there's a lot more. This is
very
just
difficult decision to change the hill.
I bet. And who so far the feedback that I'm hearing online and in person from Clemson alumni, old and young, is what in the world do they think they're doing? How can we start a petition to stop this?
All right, so there are less people that are allowed to sit on the hill now because it's a safety concern. Years ago, when I sat on the hill, it was, man, go get it. You know, anybody that could get on the hill was going to be able to sit on the hill, and it was, honestly, it was probably a little dangerous being down on the fence with 5,000 people behind you.
That's what life's all about.
Well, the danger zone.
The danger zone.
But I will say, I think there is a ton of progress going on at Clemson. I just got back today from there today. There's construction everywhere. And, you know, this is just a change. It's a change. And people don't like change. But I think it'll be better in the long run. All they're doing is building terraces right now. They've talked about permanent seating, and they're just going to probably leave the carpet down during the game, so it'll be a different little look on television. But look, my daughter had to cheer on the hill during the COVID year, and it's a pretty significant incline if you're trying to stand there and cheer.
Right.
So, I don't think I know people flip out when you change something. I get it, but it's progress. And the person I was talking to, we're talking, and he referenced Graham as Graham Neff. he said he's had some very difficult decisions, and this was one of them. Because you're changing something that's been like kind of the thing since
it is
long
definitely
time ago.
It's definitely a thing. It is the focal point of tradition in the football stadium. And really, even though the hill that the players run down will still be there, like you said, the hill, even though it really does, it's not conducive for standing on or whatever, but it's, to those of us who've done it, it's like a rite of passage. And now they take that away. It's like, you know, the experience of being a Clemson student, kind of like what Grayson was talking, it's like taking away something that defined being a Clemson student. And now that's not even going to be there. So I don't, it's progress and whatever, but I'm going to go on record as saying it sucks. And that's just,
I knew you'd have that take on it, and that's fine. But hey, speaking of other things, with all the construction going on campus, we were able to still get a good parking place for the ring ceremony that I attended today, and it was awesome.
I heard.
It is just a great thing that's done at Clemson, and that's the first one I've ever been to. I don't remember having one in 1990 whatever.
They did not.
But it was really cool. And I'm glad we went, and I'm glad my daughter was able to get a ring. So pretty cool.
It is cool. And speaking of the other construction, I do want to put to me now, some people, everybody's got opinion, just like the difference of opinion on the hill. So this picture is what lot 5 is supposed to look like.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some folks that are not happy about that. That's going to affect the parking, et cetera, et cetera. But now I'm thinking that I've heard that the way they're just redoing that entire lot, it's really not going to affect parking that much, because there's still going to be plenty of trees and little island areas and whatnot, but they're going to redesign it in such a way where they're going to get a really, really close to the same number of parking spaces in lot 5. And if you look at that, I mean, look at how nice that is.
Well, let's be honest. That parking lot has looked identical since the 1980s.
Yes.
It has not changed. So people, 40 years, 30 years, 40, almost 40 years, it's time to upgrade some stuff. And we've got the money to do it.
Yeah, so here's like an aerial shot from the corner west end zone, and that's what Tiger Walk and whatnot is going to look like. So there's still going to be lots of parking spaces. There's still going to be, like I say, hopefully the same number or really, really close. And that is going to be something that's really, really nice. But now, just to not to keep beating a dead horse, or, not just there's nothing traditional about lot 5. We can change and we can upgrade lot 5, but there was no rite of passage in parking in lot 5 or this kind of stuff. So it's way different than changing the hill. So just going on record as saying that all the upgrades and progress
I'm
is
going to
great.
note your disapproval.
Yeah, note my disapproval. For those of you listening on just the audio podcast, Bailey's writing that down. So, but now one more thing about football, we are wide open in spring practice. And one thing I like that's coming out of the spring practice, our receivers are getting a lot of very positive news. Actually, one of our Cole Turner is being compared to Nuke Hopkins.
Can I ask you a question? Last football season, was it you that I hate to say this, but I told you so, because I was told by some insiders that Cole Turner, when he was turned loose, was going to be special.
Yeah, and I heard the same thing. I never disputed that.
And I think they wanted to try to redshirt him, which they ended up doing anyway, because he only played in 4 games, I'm pretty sure.
Right.
And then he has more receiving yards than anybody all year in the ACC championship game.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he's pretty special.
Yeah, he's going to be good. And Antonio Williams is already looking at probably having a huge year is what they're thinking.
And Shipley and Maffa too, man. I saw them. I watched their video after practice, and they're going to it's all about the matchups, putting guys in space on guys that shouldn't be in space with those guys.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to it.
They're going to could have a field day with a lot of stuff. So that's the football, and the spring games coming around a couple of weeks, actually 2 weekends from now. So everybody get a good look at football when that happens. All right. So other Clemson athletic news. The baseball team, they won their midweek game against College of Charleston, but got swept by Wake this weekend.
I think they lost all 3 games by 1 run.
It was pretty close. And the thing is, I mean, close is whatever, but Wake is ranked number 2 in the country. So Wake is, at least from all intents and purposes, what we can tell now, a very, very legit baseball program. And as we know, the Tigers are rebuilding. So hopefully they got a lot better playing against competition.
They need Grayson Marshall back heckling.
Yeah.
Heckling from third base.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sitting there listening to Grayson thinking we definitely would have hung out if we would have been there at the same time. Because everything he said, other than the basketball games, we would have been with the student section. He's out there on the court. Everything else was pretty much the same place as we were.
Look, I know I missed the first part, but man, that guy, he can play.
Oh, he can flat out play.
And I've said it a million times. Unfortunately, I know more about Clemson basketball and its lack of history than most people, because I used to read. I'm the guy that used to have the press guide that they sent out in book form at the beginning of the season, and I knew it inside and out. And I pulled for him religiously, and he was certainly one of the best players on the court all the time.
Oh, I mean, you don't get to be an ACC legend without being one of the best players on the floor. That's for sure. All right. Final update from Clemson Athletics, the softball team.
Yeah, guess what? They won
again. Well,
that's
but we
awesome.
got, they had a special win in the middle of the week. They beat the Gamecocks.
They certainly did.
And I mean, it wasn't even close. They 10-run ruled them in, did the whole 4.5 inning deal against the Gamecocks. So that's our bragging right game.
I'm going to give you another little update on Clemson Athletics. The cheer squad is going to Daytona this week to compete in the national championship. And my phone is blowing up because now I'm in the cheer parents group me. It is awesome. So I will be in Daytona Wednesday.
Do some screen recording of that.
Oh yeah. And hey, look, Tori, she's gonna gritty. If they hit their routine, she said it on this program, she will gritty if they hit their routine. And yesterday they look very good. I went to the showcase and they look great. Awesome. Looking forward to it.
Well, we are definitely looking forward to it. When is the competition? You're going Wednesday.
They actually are competing Thursday and Friday. Don't know, 12 something on Thursday, and then Friday we will not know until after Thursday. So go lady and men Tiger cheerleading teams. There's 2 teams. Cheer.
We'll get that gritty on video. And, we plan on coming back here Wednesday, listeners. Next Sunday is Easter. So we plan on being here Wednesday. And then
I will be on location.
Yeah, on location. And then the following Wednesday as well. So, all right. Bailey's basketball beat. The basketball season is almost over. The lady championship game literally ended right before we started. LSU could not miss. They scored more points in a NCAA Final Four game than ever. They broke 100, I'm pretty sure. And I mean, Iowa just couldn't hang with them, even though my assumption, not assumption, but my only assessment of the potential championship game was that Iowa would not quite have what it took in the tank after the long, tough, hard-fought game to beat the Gamecocks, because that was a tough game. That was a tough win for those guys. But I don't know if that was the case. LSU was just shooting the lights out. Did you get a chance to watch any of it?
No, and Mulkey has been, I mean, she coached at Baylor, I think, and I mean, she was a Tennessee player for Pat Summitt, and she's the coach at LSU. And even though ESPN says it was an upset, they won 102-85, and they were 34-2 on the season. So pretty good squad. Now, what I didn't think would happen this year was that the Lady Gamecocks would get beat. I didn't see that happening, but that's why you play the game.
That's right.
And really, Florida Atlantic, let's talk about them. They are ready to pull off the impossible, a 9 seed making it all the way to the championship game. And they get beat at the buzzer last night, which was, a great shot. And then the second game last night was kind of it was very physical. UConn's very good. And San Diego State and UConn, it's going to be a bloodbath. The way that both teams play defense and they get after it. It's as a defensive-minded coach, it's going to be fun to watch. So I can't wait to do that.
Well, you said on here, you've said the past couple of weeks that UConn was playing at a level that seemed like nobody else could match, and has held true so far. But now FAU, my assessment, I'm watching that game. They were in control of that game until about either the 9 or 6 minute mark in the second half. And they just started. I've heard some people say the referee started getting a little too involved, which, whatever. But at the same time, they made some really, really bad passes. I mean, they were
come
about
on.
3 or 4 possessions. They made like, what in the world? Why were they even trying to pass the ball there? And
because they're humans.
Well, I know that. I'm just saying they had the game, and it was mistakes helped San Diego State into coming back versus FAU.
Difference in the game is offensive rebounding.
That was
even my man Charles Barkley said that. He made a comment that you should never give up an offensive rebound on a free throw. I happen to agree with him.
Right.
And they gave up several. So
yes.
and that's San Diego State's game. I mean, it is what it is. And so now we have 2 teams that we don't know a whole lot about.
Right.
I do know that Connecticut, like I said last week, has averaged beating people by 20 points a game in this tournament. So let's see what happens.
We're going to see what happens. But you know who never loses?
That's J-Do.
J-Do, MC, entrepreneur, entertainer, pep rallies, corporate events, game shows, fundraisers, galas. Just put that man on the mic and let him liven up the party. You put him at your organization, you will not be disappointed. Anytime you add J-Do to your function, you can find him at itsjdo.com and on all forms of social media at It's J-Do. Now, speaking of, we've been saying, there's J-Do right there. Okay, there's J-Do. All right, we've been saying gala, and Grayson said gala, but he's from DC, so we'll have to
green jacket, gold jacket, like they said on Happy Gilmore.
Yeah. That's either way, it's going to be a great time. So one more fan thing about these games. Those Final Four games have been packed out. And I know one's in a basketball stadium and Coliseum, whatever, and the other one's in a football stadium. But they have been flat packed out. And I'm just going to, no offense, let's play it on my ignorance. So I'm looking at the names of these schools, and obviously UConn, and you got usually it's Duke or North Carolina or Kentucky or whatever. And in a lay person's mind, that those are big schools. So you got Florida Atlantic University, and I know I've heard of San Diego State and everything, but I just got curious about how big these schools are. So I went and looked it up.
Okay.
Those schools have 30 plus and 35.
Florida Atlantic's huge, isn't it?
They're huge.
Yeah.
They're way bigger than Clemson. Clemson
right.
and we know Clemson is a very small, from a Power 5 standpoint, school, but those venues were packed out and those fans were having a great time. And I thought that was really cool for all the fans and the players and everything to have that opportunity to support their team. And just one other thing, did you see where the ratings for the girls, the Iowa versus South Carolina game, was better than the NBA has been getting as far as TV ratings?
Well, I mean, look, the Gamecocks, people are going to watch the Gamecocks.
And we've said on here, those are good games.
Yeah, and they're really good. And then Caitlin Clark, she accounted for 75% of Iowa's points against Carolina, either through assisting or making shots. All right.
Yeah,
so she's phenomenal.
We can't have a sports podcast today without talking about that young lady. She's unreal. I'm the only one that's compared her to, instead of just saying Clark, you got to say Clark Kent, because she was like super person out there on the floor. And the name pretty much fits. She is calm, cool, and collected. And she's unreal. So great fan experience for folks in this Final Four, in my opinion, and what I saw. And it really, really says something about college sports and college basketball on the men's and women's side. Really looking forward to something similar, hopefully, when Omaha rolls around and see out here, we're going to do better. Where do the women go?
Yeah, we do need to do better.
We're
the
going to
College
do
World
better.
Series, I think it's in Oklahoma City.
Okay.
Hold, please. Just keep talking.
Bailey's on the remind. What is it? Not a remind. It's the
Group Me.
Group Me. Yeah, the cheer dad Group Me. So that'll
Cheer
start
parents. I'm pretty sure softball's in Oklahoma City, but I will double check, or at least it has been. Yes, Oklahoma City. It's at the USA Softball Hall of Fame Stadium, and it is June 1st through 8th or 9th. And, I think the Lady Tigers have a chance to get there, which would be awesome.
That'd be awesome. And hopefully, like I say, that both of those College World Series will get these huge support, because it's just a great thing being a fan. That's why we started this podcast. People love college sports. We can get into the transfer portals and the NILs, but when a player for your university puts that uniform on and they get out there and they start competing with somebody else with a different uniform, nothing else matters anymore. So anyway, it's time. Speaking of winning, do you have the update on the first ever Fun Fans March Madness pool?
Yeah, it looks like this one's over, and I'm not going to call it. It's like an election. We're not going to call it.
We're going to wait till it's official.
Chads are done. Joseph Toscano looks like he has UConn left in the Final Four, and no one else in sight has a team left. And yours truly looks like they're going to finish. I'm going to finish in 6th place, and my mother is going to finish tied for 2nd with Grayson Dillard.
Yeah. So your mom and my 15-year-old daughter.
You know what 2nd place is, don't you?
Yeah, the first loser.
The first loser. 2nd or 20th, it doesn't really matter. But we would like to thank Diamond Edge Products for providing these master diamond laser engraving items, right?
That's right.
High quality, forever lasting, custom engraved products. Check out Diamond Edge Products at diamondedgeproducts.com. And the things are awesome. We ordered some at school. They came in, they look great, and we appreciate Diamond Edge Products, a proud sponsor of the Fun Fans podcast.
Fun Fans.
So, do we have a drum roll yet?
I'm sorry. I've actually thought about that a few times. I got to work on that in my production time.
Okay.
So here we go. So the winner of the pool is going to get one of each of these bad boys, and this koozie. This is not junk. Okay. This is high quality stainless steel stuff.
Where did today's winner come from? Twitter?
Okay, today's winner came from Facebook, and today's winner of koozie is Daniel Pinkerton. So congratulations, Daniel, and thank you for your support, Daniel. I'll shoot you a text and get your address, and I'll send you your koozie. But now, another important announcement. I'm changing. I'm making an executive decision. I'm changing the way that we're going to do the giveaway.
Okay.
From here on out.
CEO.
Yeah. And from here on out, Fun Fans, the names that will be put in the drawing will be anybody that shares the full broadcast on any social media. I mean, I've been hanging out with some marketing people, maybe. I don't know. Maybe I'm finally getting smart. Who knows? So if you share this live broadcast from this week, you will get your name put in the drawing. So just share it. If you share it on more than one social media site, tag me. Okay. I've got to know you shared it. So I should know if you share from our site, but you can tag me just in case on all these social media websites, all these social media outlets. I'm not that hard to find. And your name will be put in for the drawing. And since there are multiple social media sites, you can get your name in the drawing multiple times.
Mom, I'll come over and show you how to do it, or I'll send my son over.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to start doing it that way, and we don't have to worry about flipping back and forth. And every time it gets shared, I'll just start a list I get the notification of who shared, but you have to share this whole video, any promotional stuff. We won't put that in the drawing, but who knows? We might end up doing something like that either. So anyway, that's how we're going to do that. And we definitely appreciate your support, Daniel. I will get your koozie to you. And reach out to us, okay? Reach out to us about how you can support Wayne Buckingham's fundraiser. We're going to be reaching out to some people. Like I said, there are multiple ways to support, make donations from $50 up to $10,000. It's all on the website. Find stuff on his social media, my social media, and we're going to be looking to get some, trying to help Wayne get some sponsorships around here local because he's up in Tennessee. So feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions about that. Yeah. Yeah. And the orange and white gala with the Kentucky Derby. Do we wear that? It's the women that wear the hats, right?
Yeah, I have a seersucker jacket. I'll probably wear.
All right. So we can do that.
It won't be Labor Day yet, so I can still wear it. Boom.
Yeah. But just the thought of rubbing elbows with, I mean, the names that they keep rattling off for $50, to me, that's pretty much a no-brainer. So that's a great show, Bailey. Even though we missed you about the first 5 minutes, Grayson Marshall was a great guest. We talked about the Clemson athletics, and we appreciate everybody checking us out each and every week. Don't forget to click subscribe on your favorite platform, especially YouTube. Find Fun Fans Podcast on all forms of social media. We're going to continue to bring you stories of fun fans and plenty of great guests, posting a show each week. We've got some great interviews lined up, so you do not want to miss the show. Bailey, the NFL draft is coming up this month. Okay, we're college sports, but we did a special show for the Super Bowl. I think we need to do something a little special for the NFL draft.
Okay.
All right, so
I'm looking forward to the Panthers having the number 1 overall pick, so we'll see how that goes.
That'll be cool. So very good. On behalf of the Fun Fans Podcast, Jay Thriller Entertainment, the Fanboys Fangirls Podcast Network, and Bailey Jackson.
We'll see you next time. We'll see you Wednesday night from Daytona Beach.
We'll see you Wednesday. Thanks for listening, and go Tigers.
Go Tigers.